is consideration of business motion 23396 in the name of Graham Day on behalf of the Bureau setting out changes to this week's business. Minister, could you move?
Move, Presiding Officer.
Thank you very much. And no member has indicated they wish to speak in the motion. The question therefore is that motion 23396 be agreed. Are we all agreed? We are agreed. Thank you. So we're going to turn now to topical questions. Our first question today is from Donald Cameron.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. To ask the Scottish Government what its response is to the announcement that Scotland will host one of the two proposed COVID-19 mega labs.
Cabinet Secretary Jean Freeman.
The Scottish Government welcomes this announcement. The creation of the mega labs will be an important step in our fight against the virus, and the decision to locate one of them in Scotland is a sign of the strength of Scotland's life science sector and our strong skills and research base. The lab will provide up to 300,000 tests per day when at full capacity using endpoint PCR technology, and will have an important role beyond the pandemic in diagnostics and support for the work in precision medicine. The exact location of the mega lab in Scotland is still to be confirmed, and we are working closely with our counterparts in the UK Government on this.
Donald Cameron.
Can I acknowledge the welcome that the Cabinet Secretary gives to this announcement, which will see the creation of an extra 1,800 Scottish jobs, which highlights the UK Government's overall commitment to supporting Scottish jobs during the pandemic. Can the Cabinet Secretary confirm if she has met with the UK Government to discuss this proposal? And can she reconfirm her Government's full support and resources to ensure it can be delivered in a timely manner?
Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you to Mr Cameron. My officials have been actively involved on a virtually a day-to-day basis with their colleagues in the UK Government as the proposition of a mega lab was developed and as they put forward the case for one to be located in Scotland. So they have regular contact on that. I, as I think Mr Cameron knows, have a Four Nations meeting with my counterparts, so that includes the Secretary of State, Vaughan Gethin, the Health Minister from Wales, Robin Swan, the Health Minister from Northern Ireland. We have that on a fortnightly basis at least. Currently it's running weekly, and the last one was on Friday. So we discuss a number of issues in and around that, including testing, the COVID vaccine programme and so on. And we've been doing that for probably for about the last 9 to 10 months. So we are in regular contact with the UK Government, both at ministerial level and at official level, not only on this mega lab, but also to ensure that the development there aligns with our own 3 regional hubs, currently on track to be fully operational by the end of this calendar year, and to make sure that we are getting the best possible shared value out of this in terms of the consumables and other issues. And the other organisation I should mention who have been particularly engaged in the Mega Lab proposition is Scottish Enterprise, whose knowledge of locations and business needs in and around Scotland has been particularly helpful here.
Donald Cameron.
The Cabinet Secretary mentioned the pledge to introduce 3 new regional laboratory hubs. Because the new Scottish Mega Lab will see daily testing capacity increased by 300,000, and in the Scottish Government's clinical and scientific review, the pledge in relation to the new regional hubs had them opening in November and December. Can I ask the Cabinet Secretary for an update and whether those particular monthly deadlines will be met?
Cabinet Secretary.
So the 3 regional hubs are Glasgow, Grampian, and I believe the third is in Lothian. The Glasgow hub will open with a full capacity of 12,000 per day from the 12th of December. It will have done its trial runs to make sure that it is ready to open fully on that basis at the back end of this month into December. The other 2 hubs will also open in mid-December, so that by the end of this calendar year, they will be contributing an additional 22,000 tests per day, in addition to our NHS labs, our partnership with commercial providers and with academia.
Thank you very much. And move on to question 2, Lee MacArthur, who joins us remotely. Mr MacArthur.
Thank you, President Officer. To ask the Scottish Government how it will reduce the amount of waste that it exports in light of reports that 1.7 million tonnes left the country in 2018, including almost all plastics for recycling.
Minister Marie Goujon.
In 2019, the whole life carbon impacts of Scotland's household waste reached their lowest level since official recording began. However, we know that there is still work to be done to reduce waste and develop a thriving circular economy. We want to build a fully circular economy and be able to manage more of our own waste within Scotland, including the 14% which is currently processed elsewhere. Our deposit return scheme for single-use drinks containers from July 2022 will support more opportunities for reprocessing plastic, and our programme for Government 2020 to 2021 committed us to encouraging reprocessing investments to create good green jobs and a ready supply of recycled material.
Liam MacArthur.
I thank the Minister for that response, but it was reported the weekend that Scotland now exports 4.5 times more waste than it did in 2004. Whether that's to England, Europe or the other side of the world, it's a filthy statistic. So what are the Scottish Government's projections for offshoring our waste over the coming years?
Minister.
Again, I would reiterate to what I said to the member in my first response. We're absolutely committed as a responsible government to tackling our own waste. And that's why we set out a number of measures within the programme for government this year. And as I'd already stated, that's really about trying to stimulate development of reprocessing infrastructure to deal with waste and materials, and particularly plastic. And I know that the Cabinet Secretary for the Environment, as well as the Minister Ivan McKee, have been in touch with the Chief Executives of local authorities to really look at how, working together, we can stimulate opportunities for more of that processing to take place in Scotland. And again, in the programme for government, we've committed £70 million to improve recycling collection infrastructure and develop a new route map to reducing waste. And again, we will also be introducing the deposit return scheme, which we hope will have a massive positive impact.
Liam MacArthur.
Again, I thank the Minister. She will know that I've been campaigning for the introduction of a coffee cup levy for some time now. In October last year, the Scottish Government confirmed that it would be part of the now dropped Circular Economy Bill. We were already sending billions of cups a year to landfill, and that was before the pandemic introduced a new wave of single-use items. The environment can't wait. So what can the Scottish Government do in advance of a Circular Economy Bill being introduced?
Minister.
In response, I would absolutely emphasise that just because we weren't able to take forward the Circular Economy Bill, it doesn't mean that any of the work that we would look to do would be halted, because obviously we recognise the issues that are there. And I'm sure that the member will be aware, in relation to the Single-Use Plastics Directive, we set out in the programme for government that we would be looking to see how we could put that into effect. And that dealt with 10 of the most common plastic items that we find washed up along our shorelines. And there was a consultation, I believe, that started on the 12th of October for a period of 12 weeks, which looks at how we can take forward banning these items and preventing them from ending up in our oceans. And again, as I've outlined, we have the DRS scheme. There's the £70 million that we've committed to improving recycling collection infrastructure. So there are a whole host of measures that we're looking at to try and tackle the issues that we have. And I'm more than happy to work with the member and others across this chamber to see how we can improve that work. If there is anything we can be doing, and we can be doing faster, I'm more than happy to look at that.
Thank you. Maurice Golden, to be followed by Claudia Beamish.
Thank you, Presiding Officer, and I refer members to my register of interests. The SNP record 3 tonnes of waste shipped abroad every minute, just 2% of plastics recycled in Scotland, no 2021 landfill ban, 2013 recycling targets still not met, recycling rates lower now than in 2016, and turning Scotland into the ashtray of Europe, with incineration up almost 400%. Is the Minister proud of this record?
Minister.
I would refute what Maurice Golden has said there. I mean, as I said, we have a whole host of measures there to tackle the issues that we have. We want to ensure that we make the most of the capabilities that we have in Scotland to build the infrastructure that is there and to create that fully circular economy. I've talked about the deposit return scheme. The member mentioned the landfill target. Now, we do continue to make progress towards our ambitious recycling and waste targets. And across Scotland in 2018, we had once again recycled more than we sent to landfill, which is great news for our action on climate change, but we know that there is more to be done. And that's why in our programme for government, we included the investment of £70 million that I've talked about already, and we're also undertaking a review of the Household Waste Charter Code of Practice, which will ensure that the right decision is the easy decision for businesses and households when it comes to recycling. We are absolutely committed to looking at all possible measures to improve the recycling rates that we have and to be able to deal with our recycler in Scotland and to build that capacity as best we can.
Claudia Beamish, to be followed by Gillian Martin.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. As we've heard, it is indeed shocking how much is being exported of what could be reused, recycled and remanufactured. In view of there disappointingly not being a circular economy bill in this Parliament, can I ask the Minister what specific support and advice has been given to the development of remanufacturing, particularly plastics, as part of an industrial strategy? There are already excellent businesses in this area, such as Macreva, making plastic road surfaces, and Solvay Recycling, turning used plastic straw bale coverings into fencing, decking, hen houses, and much more. And these act as positive models. How can we progress this far more rapidly as we move towards net zero?
Minister.
I'm sure the member will understand, as other members across the chamber will, as to why we couldn't bring forward the Circular Economy Bill, which of course we would have wanted to progress. But I would say in response to Claudia Beamish that we're also actively working with potential investors in plastic reprocessing capacity in Scotland. And I know that one potential investor has gone public with outline plans for such an investment at Dunbar, and we're working with them to try and create the conditions where these kind of opportunities can be realised. And we're also open to working with other potential investors in this market. Now, one of the issues that is causing difficulties at present is a perception that the current packaging extended producer responsibility scheme creates incentives for exporting waste plastic. So we're currently working with the other governments of the UK on reform of that scheme and on one of the key objectives, which is to strengthen incentives for domestic reprocessing.
Gillian Martin, to be followed by Mark Ruskell.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. The amount of waste exported by the UK to EU countries is a huge issue and a potential real problem post-Brexit. Can the Minister expand on the progress been made by the waste sector in reducing greenhouse gases since the 1990 baseline and outline what's in the programme for government that means that Scotland will be able to deal with its own waste and material within Scotland?
Minister.
I thank the member for that question. I mean, our Scottish greenhouse gas emission statistics show that the carbon emissions from waste management have fallen by over 70%, and that's a reduction of nearly 4.5 million tonnes between 1990 and 2018. And as I've highlighted in some of the previous responses that I've given today, our programme for government includes that investment of £70 million to improve collection infrastructure and develop a new route map to reduce waste and improve recycling. There are also the other measures that I've just outlined to Claudia Beamish, where we're working together, the Cabinet Secretary is working with Ivan McKee and local authorities to look at what we can do to stimulate interest in processing capacity, because as a responsible nation, that's what we have to do and really capitalise and maximise on the opportunities that are presented to us through the circular economy.
And Mark Ruskell.
The landfill ban, of course, has now been moved back to 2025, a move which industry has described as a failure of government leadership to get the right place. Can the Minister ensure now that we won't see a rush to build incinerators across Scotland, fill this gap? And can she commit that in the next national planning framework, there'll be consideration of a moratorium on incinerators?
Minister.
In response to Mark Driscoll's point about the landfill ban, now, local authorities had already made significant progress towards the target of sending no biodegradable municipal waste to landfill by 2021. But despite that progress, it was clear that full compliance by 2021 could only be achieved by reliance on exporting waste and, in particular, landfilling in England. And, of course, that would have had a consequent environmental impact and additional financial implications for local authorities. So an implementation date of the 31st of December 2025 for the ban has now been set out in legislation. However, we expect significant progress ahead of that date. There will be a centrally supported procurement solution to help remaining local authorities secure alternative solutions to comply with the forthcoming ban, and Scottish landfill tax will be used to provide a further incentive to ensure that transitional work proceeds at the necessary pace.
Thank you very much. And that concludes topical questions.